But we don't have an access problem in our culture anymore. A lot of people talk about the digital divide, or they talk about, Connor, shut up, this is a good start. Or if they talk about what people have access to and don't have access to, that's a very simple problem to solve at this point. First of all, if you don't have a smartphone handy, look around. These are the friends you're going to want to make. They will be helpful to you, both because they have hardware and because they've played with this enough through trial and error that they also have some software solutions that are going to be important for you. Now, if I look at just this, already you've got on the course blog the 1987 AP exam, the one that I took. You've got a QR code that actually goes to the blog itself. Won't help you if you're already here. You know exactly how many days there are until the AP exam. You've got some tips on active reading notes, which will help you with the summer reading, and my example. And you've also got the introduction to the syllabus. Some of you from 10th grade may remember that image. Nothing's changed there.
This is not a pipe.
This is not a pipe. Every single one of you is expected not just to do the summer reading, but also to have a blog up and running by the time we get back to school, because over the summer I'm going to add to this. To me, class is in session. Lots of different ways to do this orientation. You guys have taken AP classes before. You've been involved in situations where people have told you, here's what you have to do or else. This class is a little different. If you walk into this door today, just now, you already know that this is a matter of choice. My philosophy is that your entire learning experience is ultimately a matter of choice. There's only so many carrots and sticks we can offer through a schooling environment that's going to inspire you or threaten you or motivate you to do what's in your best interest. I'm not about that. Most of you have already had my class at least once, so in the 10th grade you sort of got my operating philosophy, which is give a lot of information and then let the student guide their own path. Well, now it's not just information, it's the tools that everybody else in this modern day culture is using, except on campus. And more on campus, that's changing as well. For those of you with older brothers and sisters in college, or friends in your lives who are already in that environment, you know that this is pretty typically what a college classroom looks like. Everyone's got a screen open. Textbooks are a thing of the past. Here's the good news. You will not need the textbook for this course. So, if you choose to get one for reference, there's certainly information in there. I'll be referring to segments, for example, on Beowulf and some of the Old English stuff that you'll need for the AP exam. But in terms of your learning in this course, you are the one that will chart your path. And what I mean by that isn't you get to come in here and take a mental vacation. That's what, well, now that I'm on so many cameras, I have to be careful and diplomatic about what I say. And that's important for you to know. When you write for a teacher, one of my students just said last week, you're writing for one person. When you write for the internet, or when you appear in internet-friendly media, you're going out to the world. Our classes this year have been meeting with people, thought leaders, not just people who built the internet from all over the world. We've been featured in TED Talks as far away as Malta, which is off the coast of Africa. That's not familiar territory for a lot of students. And so the stakes are higher. The feedback that we've gotten has been unreal. People all over the world are dying to know what's going on in high school because they can't get behind the chain link curtain on the days they don't give tours. So they're insanely curious about what all this Common Core standard, AP, graduation requirements, are people leaving high school able to think? Well, I'm proud to announce that we've got the proof. And the students who went through the experimental version of this course this year have wildly exceeded every single one of my expectations. When I started using technology, it was primarily to save paper and, give students a more interesting, creative access to technology. This has gone so far beyond that to talk about it would take the rest of the day. So we'll create that for ourselves. The good news for you is I'm not asking you to follow in their path. There are a lot of students around this campus who are privately smarter than they act in public. This is a sanctuary for that. So if you're coming into this class because maybe you're on the fence about AP, but you just want something different, something more opportunistic, this is a place for you. If you have a friend who's in college prep and they're on the fence, pull them over the fence. It's time to stop being a coward in this culture and start owning our own intellectual capabilities. We're going to do everything we need to for the AP exam, but most of you tell the honest truth, with the proper training and with the proper discipline, could probably pass that test in the next couple of weeks with at least a 3. Now that's not good enough. I want you to have a 4 or a 5 so that you can translate the credit. It's $79 in 3 hours and you get thousands of dollars worth of college credit if you pass. Beyond that though, if you're a person who's thinking about writing beyond high school, if you're a person who's thinking about entrepreneurship beyond high school, if you're a person who's just thinking, I don't know what there is for me beyond high school, but I'm kind of tired of just tests that tell me what I'm supposed to do. If you're looking at community college, by the way, that's how they're starting community college now. You take a test, and then you only get access to the classes that tell you, oh, this was what the test is preparing that person for. My class is an open book, literally and figuratively. I'm going to spare you all the talk about what you have to do. If you're in here, you already know you've got summer reading. If you know me, or by reputation at least, you already know that I have high expectations and that I beat myself up way more than I beat any of my students up. If you look at the posts from this year's course blog, you'll see I've been on a 24-hour clock since August. And Friday for me after graduation is another day at the office, because I got a whole new group of people that I can't wait to start working with. So this is all about your learning. And we don't even have words to describe this model yet because we're inventing it as we go along. But if you know seniors, you know that they are all working on projects that are self-directed. Most of those projects are not designed to be completed by graduation. They're designed for them to continue their learning in whatever environment comes next. You also know that Ian May and some of the other students have developed something called the Project Infinity site. I may have that, I don't want to mess around with trying to find a link right now, but all of the student work is being assessed not just by me, but by a community of their peers. You're going to be working with peers, you're going to be learning with peers, and you're going to be assessing your peers. You, in a sense, will create not only your own intellectual path, but also your own evaluation grade. Obviously, I'm not going to let the course not have integrity. And by the way, if you heard this year that there was a lot of flexibility and that there was a lot of things that got started and then stopped, yeah, this was the first year I did the course in this way and that happened. Is it going to be the same next year? No. So if you're starting off by thinking about school in the old traditional ways and what's foisted upon you and what kinds of shortcuts you want to take, go take somebody else's class. This is not for everybody, but this is for anybody who's ever asked a teacher, well, could I do this? And the answer was no, and you got frustrated as a result. Most of the people I see who aren't performing to their full capability don't have a problem on the cognitive side. They learn just fine. They have a huge problem on the motivational side. And part of that is caused because this is a one-size-fits-all institution. And it does what it does very well. It tries really hard. It's filled with good people. I don't want to be construed as saying anything negative about anybody. That's not where I'm coming from. However, what I'm offering now is a one-size-fits-you approach. If you go to get a tuxedo, you go to get a prom dress, what do you want, an off-the-shelf solution, or do you want something that was made just for you? Well, here you get to participate in that process. I'm going to leave it at that because you've got a lot of stuff to look at online. You already have my email. My Twitter handle is right beneath that. Please jot those down or take a picture if you haven't already. And actually, I've got to update that because your URL has the 1-2 right before Blogspot. And if I would have thought about that beforehand, I probably would have made it 13 since we were class in 2013. But I didn't, so now it's 12. So for next year, I'll catch up and make it 14. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes?
The blog that we're making for ourselves, is that through your blog or through just the blog site?
All you will need to do is go, and I'm going to create a post on this blog with explicit step-by-step directions. I'm going to do that by Friday, so that if you have questions before finals, we can come in and ask me directly. But it's just going to tell you, here's what you're supposed to name the blog, here's where to go on the platform. And Blogger, if you haven't used it, is extraordinarily easy. Like most things, you don't need a whole lot of instruction in this stuff because first, it's clicking and trial and error. And if you can't get where you need to go based on that, then you ask a friend and inevitably 2 conversations later you're done. The blog this year has served more than one function. At first I thought it was going to help people who weren't here on campus. Well, but it's also a way to crowdsource solutions. I just had a student ask me about moving a file from one format to another. We put it on the blog for 95 people. There's 3 answers in 20 minutes that are just as good as any forum you could find online. The course blog has gotten up almost 86,000 page views. Now, I only have 95 students, and it's not like they went on 1,000 times each. So please be mindful. We're writing for the world. And I don't have rules for this. And this is of great concern to adults who think that we need an acceptable use policy for everything we do in school. So far, we've proven students are perfectly capable of knowing right from wrong and executing on that idea. So I'm just going to say this. There are a lot of people out there who are confused by the technology, who don't feel particularly comfortable because it's new to them. If they get the sense that this is inappropriate, I have to make this go away with 2 clicks of the mouse, and then I got to tell you to go get textbooks. So that's all I'm ever going to say about that topic. Be honorable. If you have a question if something's appropriate, see me or talk to a friend, get some feedback. But this year, I haven't had one single instance of anything that was even questionable, much less inappropriate. I'd like to continue that streak. There's only one more announcement I have to make. And this is where, frankly, I love my seniors this year. I've never felt so good about teaching a group of people, because it's not me in front of an audience. This is me as part of a 96-member team. But the one thing where they did fall a little short was that if you notice on their blog, I have last year's orientation video up. And I said to them, as I'm about to say to you, there is one requirement for this course. If you're taking this class, you will take and you will pass the AP exam in the spring. If you can't afford it, come to me, we'll help you. We actually crowdsourced some funding for a couple of students this year who had problems paying. If you're not sure what the benefit is to you, come have a conversation with me. But if you sign up for the class, I expect that I'm not going to be sitting with a bunch of people on AP day looking at you and saying, what were you thinking on May 30th? So is there anybody who knows that they have a problem with that or who has a question? Because otherwise I'm going to assume this is a 100% agreement. And if someone wasn't here for that today, for that announcement, you're now putting them on the hook. This is like the Mafia movie where somebody speaks up and it says, okay, well now you owe me too. So if you know someone's not here today, make sure they get that message. That's my only absolute line in the sand. Any other questions about anything at all? Vince?
Is there a way we can find the requirements for our blog as far as what you want it titled and stuff like that?
I'm going to post that on this course blog by Friday.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Do any of the seniors have things you want to contribute?
Best course at Rigetti.
Suck up, dude.
I didn't pay him for that, but I might later. Is there anything that I said that you didn't think was accurate given your experience or that you want to add to?
Take full opportunity in this class. Absolute opportunity.
And don't be intimidated by the technology at all, the technology aspect of it. You can't be intimidated. Like, I know that it's new, and I mean, if you really get used to it, it really becomes a lot of fun. So I'm excited for you guys that you guys get to be a part of this. So.
You'll struggle with the technology at first, but it's really easy and comes like second nature once you start using it more often. You use it every day. So.
And to Mariah's point, it's one thing to say, like, right now this all feels great. You're getting off campus in a week, summer's coming, how bad could it possibly be? And the answer is really not that bad. But you all have habits. Does anybody know what schema is? I'll give you my first extra credit opportunity right now. Someone define schema? Go for
Like
it.
a schemata? Like, yeah, it's like
Ethan, what is it?
a memory pocket.
Okay, you're on the right
Or
track.
like
What's your name?
Hayden.
Hayden, nice to meet you. So Hayden's using the online equivalent. Schema are habits of mind. They're organized your way home and you follow the same way. It's a routine. Well, your routines over 12 years of public education or any kind of classroom education lead you to think about role models like teachers in one way, students in another. Ultimately, for some of you, you're going to get to a point next spring where I may just be another teaching voice in your head making you do things you don't want to do. What a tragic shame that would be. What a lost opportunity that would be. This is now a conversation between peers. If you elect to show up and go through the summer reading, prepare the course blog, and actually make it to the first day of school, you're one of my colleagues. And that's the invitation for the year. The rest of it's up to you. And for those precious few people who hear me now and nod and then won't do it because their schema is so powerful, well, walk like a student, act like a student, I'm going to have to treat you like a student. But my great preference would be to treat you like a colleague. All right? Any other questions or comments before we get out of here? Okay. Please feel free to use the email. The reason I give you the